Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. The High Court will decide next Friday on the government's bid to ban a protest song. Caterers fume at dining and shopping arrangements for mainland visitors in Kowloon City district. And Iraq cuts ties with Sweden over a second insult to the Koran in Stockholm. A High Court judge has raised concerns about double jeopardy as the government argued its case for a ban on the protest song Glory to Hong Kong. The court will deliver its decision next Friday. Janice Low reports.
Security was beefed up outside the High Court for a hearing on the government's bid to outlaw the 2019 protest song Glory to Hong Kong. Justice Department Senior Counsel Benjamin Yu said if the court doesn't order an injunction, it would give rise to national security risks with people using the song in different ways. He assured that the ban would not restrict authentic news reporting. Judge Anthony Chan was concerned about double jeopardy, saying the government's attempt seems to be duplicated with the national security law. But Yu said even in such a case, a defendant would still enjoy a fair trial and a person's legal rights would not be deprived. Senior counsel Abraham Chan assisted the court by presenting opposing arguments. He questioned the use of an injunction, saying a ban does not make any difference with the national security law, adding that the public actually needs to be educated about the security law. The lawyer also pointed out that an injunction is useless, as it cannot force Google or other platforms from removing the song just because it violates Hong Kong law. Senior counsel Gladys Lee revealed that Chow Hang-tong, the former vice-chairwoman of the now-defunct Hong Kong Alliance, tried to take part in the proceedings as a concerned party, but her application was rejected. The court will hand down its judgment next Friday. Janice Low, HKIBC.
The niece of a Court of Final Appeal non-permanent judge has been given a suspended jail term for criminal damage. Amina Bukhari had damaged a car by throwing a 15-kilo flower pot from her flat. Chloe Wong reports.
Amina Bukhari was charged last year with 2 counts of criminal damage and 1 of theft. She had been accused of stealing personal items from her domestic helper and throwing them out of her flat. Bukhari also hurled a 15-kilogram flower pot from her Happy Valley flat, damaging a car below. The 46-year-old pleaded not guilty in May, but was convicted early this month on 1 charge of criminal damage. She appeared in court for sentencing today. In mitigation, the defense lawyers said the defendant has mental health issues. Bukhari suffers from bipolar disorder and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. The lawyer added that Bukhari had felt lonely and did not enjoy life in the city, as most of her friends are abroad. The disorders and stress led to violent outbursts sometimes, the lawyer said. Magistrate Edward Wong took into consideration Bukhari's mental condition. He noted that she had compensated the owner of the damaged vehicle. In addition, Bukhari was in custody at the Siloam Psychiatric Center for 8 days after her arrest. Wong handed down a 2-month jail term, suspended for 18 months. Chloe Wong, HKIBC.
Mainland tour groups have been banned from dining and shopping in Kowloon City on the same day. The move is aimed at easing overcrowding in the district, but it has affected businesses. Janice O reports.
To Kwa Wan used to be a favorite spot for mainland visitors, but tour groups have been forced to take their clients to other areas, such as Tsim Sha Tsui. This came after the Travel Industry Authority barred mainland tour groups from shopping and dining on the same day in Kowloon City district, which includes To Kwa Wan, to avoid overcrowding. Simon Wong from the Federation of Restaurants and Related Trades found the arrangement totally unacceptable, seeing it contradicts Hong Kong's status as a free economy. He asked why tourism officials did not consider other measures to deal with complaints of overcrowding.
They can talk to the travel industry, talk to the travel agencies who arrange the tour group. And if people want to go to To Kwa Wan, they can limit the number of tour groups per day. And also, they can limit the number of tourists going into that area per day.
Wong has already expressed his grievances to the authority and now plans to meet the tourism commissioner. Wealth Gain restaurant in To Kwa Wan, which served mainland visitors with set lunches, was forced to close because of the ban. It used to take in $1.5 million every month before COVID. District Councillor Yang Wen-kit supported the ban on same-day shopping and dining in Kowloon City. He said as a result, police don't have to deploy extra manpower to maintain order. Yang was speaking after he accompanied lawmaker Starry Lee, Kowloon City District Council Chairman Ho Hin Meng, and Travel Industry Authority Chief Executive Annie Fonda on a tour of 20 shops that cater to mainland tourists. Lee said they were invited by the tourism officials to get a better picture of the situation. Janice Low, HKIBC.
Turning overseas, Iraq has cut ties with Stockholm 1 day after protesters stormed the Swedish embassy in Baghdad. The unrest came after a man in the Swedish capital threatened to burn the Koran for the second time in a month. One night after the Swedish embassy in Baghdad was attacked, the atmosphere remained tense. Some protesters armed with iron rods and sticks were chased away by security forces. Firefighters were still dousing fires after parts of the compound were set ablaze. There were peaceful demonstrations in other parts of the Iraqi capital. People were furious after Sweden allowed a man to stage another protest against Islam and threatened to burn a copy of the Koran. The man behind the controversy, Salwan Momika, showed up outside the Iraqi embassy in Stockholm under police escort. The Iraqi Christian refugee exchanged taunts with counter-protesters before taking out a book he claimed was the Koran. He threw it to the ground, stomped on it, but did not set it alight like he did last time. HKIBC has chosen not to show his provocative acts.
How can they let him do this? Finland, Denmark, all the countries, they don't allow things like this.
It's challenging that we cannot really stop a crime before it's taking place when it comes to public gatherings. We are limited in taking actions prior to the public gathering.
In retaliation, Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani expelled the Swedish ambassador and cut diplomatic ties with Stockholm. At least 16 people have been killed in a landslide which trapped more than 100 others in western India. A village in the district of Raigad in Maharashtra state was hit by tons of mud 2 days ago. But rescue operations are continuing at the scene, 100 kilometers south of India's financial capital, Mumbai. Continuous downpours have hampered recovery efforts, and rescue teams are digging manually to find survivors. 75 people have been rescued so far. The state is on high alert as more heavy rain is expected this weekend. Ukraine has begun using American cluster bombs against Russian forces. According to the United States, the controversial explosives are proving to be effective. Washington rushed the bombs to Ukraine after Kyiv complained that it was running out of weapons for its counteroffensive against Russia. More than 100 countries banned cluster bombs because of their threat to civilians. Cluster munitions release several bomblets, which scatter over a wide area. Many don't explode until people step on them or children pick them up thinking they are toys. China's top economic planner has rolled out a state of measures to boost sales of automobiles and electronic goods in a bid to prop up the faltering economy. The authorities also revealed that more detailed measures will be announced to shore up demand. Chloe Feng reports.
One day after the State Council issued a 31-point guideline to support the private economy, Beijing rolled out measures to boost demand. The National Development and Reform Commission, or NDRC, announced plans to boost automobile sales. Regions were encouraged to increase their annual vehicle purchase quotas, replacing old vehicles with new ones, supporting the second-hand market and improving infrastructure for new energy vehicles.
当前我国汽车消费的复苏态势稳中向好。
Chang Tie-wei, an NDRC official, said sales in the world's biggest automobile market are recovering, with new energy vehicles under the spotlight. China has overtaken Japan as the world's biggest car exporter, boosted by sales to Russia. Authorities, meanwhile, warned localities not to adopt protectionist policies to avoid competition, after Tesla triggered a price war among mainland automakers earlier this year. The NDRC also issued guidelines to boost the purchase of electronic products. Research institutions and market entities were encouraged to make use of domestic artificial intelligence technology. It also urged certain regions to subsidize green home products in villages, while boosting centralized electronic recycling work to unleash demand. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
The Hong Kong stock market has snapped a 3-session losing streak. The Hang Seng Index gained 0.8% to climb above 19,000 points, but still lost nearly 400 points for the week. Today's advance was in anticipation of more details from Beijing on its plan to support the private sector and an end to U.S. monetary tightening. Finance shares were the biggest gainers. Hang Seng Bank soared 4%, becoming the week's best blue-chip performer. Property shares continued to dive, with Country Garden losing 5.5%. Over to the markets. The Hang Seng was up by 147 points. To the top 10 active stocks, the Tracker Fund picked up 19 cents. Tencent was up 20 cents, while Alibaba was up by $1.80. Meituan was up by $1.50, while AIA Insurance was up by $1.20. The forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.69. 1,000 Japanese yen will get you 55 Hong Kong dollars, while the Australian dollar is at 5.26. Over in Europe, the London FTSE is currently up by 15 points. The price of rice could climb further after India banned exports of a particular type with immediate effect. The world's top rice exporters stopped shipments of non-basmati white rice in an attempt to bring down prices domestically after monsoon rains damaged crops. The decision will halve New Delhi's rice exports and trigger price increases in countries that buy from India. Top buyers include Bangladesh, China, Nepal, and African countries. They could turn to Vietnam, but prices there have soared to their highest level in over a decade because of bad weather. Finally, the weather. The outer subsiding air of tropical cyclone Doksuri has brought sizzling conditions to southern China. The baking heat will continue into next week, with the mercury hitting 34 degrees on Monday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Good night.